Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants? I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. Ladies and gentlemen, on my channel, I'm always telling you guys, live an active lifestyle, make smart nutritional choices, move more, sit less, fight against the laziness. It's not about perfection, but about consistency. It's not about what you look like in the mirror, but about how you feel, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, that's the key, guys. Don't worry about the mirror. Don't chase the look. Chase the feeling. And I've talked to you guys on this channel about, weighing yourself regularly, right? Knowing what you weigh, right? Just weighing yourself a regular thing or making a regular thing, because being conscious of how much you weigh can help you maintain a steady weight. Because let's be real, for a lot of people, exercise, right? Health is all about losing weight or maintaining a certain weight, right? Because as we go through life, it becomes harder and harder to lose weight or to maintain a certain weight, right? As we get older and older in life, things become harder for us, right? We start to move slower, right? Everything starts to get a little bit harder as we get older. That's why it's important that we do this stuff in our 20s, in our 30s, in our 40s, into our 50s, 60s. Hopefully, we can live to 70, 80 years old, but not only, like I told you, live, but to be living, to have a good quality of life in those later years. But we have to do the things necessarily leading up to that time if we really want to have a shot to have that kind of life. So when we're talking about gaining weight, especially in this country, in America, man, we are way obese, man. And I tell you guys all the time, we look like hell in this country. We do. You see it, ladies and gentlemen, walking down the street, people just look terrible. Not only are they overweight, they just look bad. They look older than they are. A lot of people, like I said, they just not taking care of themselves the way that they should be. And it's really sad because, like I said, people take their health for granted and they don't understand, how much a little bit of fitness can do for you. Like I said, just moving a little bit more can work wonders on you. Like I said, so right here I have a scale, nothing fancy, man, right? You don't need anything fancy, guys. But I told you, I have a scale, and not only does it help me to weigh myself to see where I am, to try to maintain a steady weight or keep myself in a certain range, but it also allows me to weigh my handy rocks, right? The rocks that I always have that are right here with me that I use for lifting. It allows me to weigh these rocks, see how much they weigh, find different rocks with different weights. Like I tell you guys, it's always just good to know the weight that you're lifting. If you're using something like rocks, it's good to know. So like I told you, so I can find a balance in a nice range. So I don't want all the rocks to weigh the same. And I don't want the rocks to be, a 5-pound difference. I like the rocks to have some significant difference, 10, 20-pound difference. So once again, I can use different rocks in different scenarios for different things. So the scale helps me with that. But I've had this scale for, oh my gosh, man, probably like 10 years now, maybe even longer than that. And like I said, this is not an expensive scale. It's one of those scales that, you can step on barefoot, I guess, and it'll supposedly give you like a reading of your body fat and, things of that. I think the scale was like $30. Like I said, I bought it a long time ago, and it's still working. And like I said, I use it all the time. Like I said, I regularly weigh myself, and people probably like, why do I weigh myself? I don't have to weigh myself. Now, not saying that I weigh myself every day, but when I'm talking about regularly, guys, I'm talking about at least once a week, at least a couple of times a month, you should weigh yourself. Like I said, especially if your goal is to lose weight right now, especially if you feel as if, you've gained weight, right? And you don't feel like you are feeling the same, you don't have the same energy, then maybe you should look into getting a scale and stepping on that thing once a week, once every couple of weeks, just to see where you're at. So you can be conscious about this stuff, all right? It's about being conscious about these things, thinking about making smart nutritional choices, thinking about living the active lifestyle, right? Fighting against that laziness, guys. You have to be conscious to do this stuff, all right? So invest in a scale, ladies and gentlemen, nothing fancy. Step on it, see where you are, and once again, regularly do this so that you can keep yourself accountable, right? Hold yourself accountable to whatever goal that you have going on. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, it's a good thing to weigh yourself, and they've done many studies on, the effects of weighing yourself regularly and what that can do on weight loss and you keeping the weight off.